Well, hello and welcome back, everyone. I hope you are fortified with sugar. I hope you enjoyed the dessert, and we will ensure that the coffee keeps flowing so that all of the information that you're taking in gets to sink in along with a good dose of caffeine. I would like to mention that we have some young special attendees with us in the audience. They're young volunteers from across the City of Toronto, and these individuals are currently attending school or they've recently graduated, and they're pursuing careers. They're pursuing careers in a variety of fields, including business, nursing, the trades, real estate, culinary arts, hospitality, you name it. We are grateful that they have chosen this city as their place to pursue their future careers. And you're going to see them out in the halls, and some are here in this room, but certainly you'll see them out in the halls. They have white badges, and I'm sure that they would be thrilled if you were to take a moment to make them feel welcome, but also potentially to offer a little bit of career advice or some information that might help them as they kickstart their own professional journeys. And I'd also like to quickly remind you that the Toronto Global Forum is proud to feature an outstanding cultural program throughout all 3 days. Some of you will already have heard some of our performers, but we do have musicians performing in a variety of rooms throughout our time together, and I hope you'll take full advantage of listening to some remarkable artists as you network and chat. And your next opportunity is going to be at the reception later this evening at the end of the session, so we hope that you'll be attending in great numbers. And now we are very fortunate to have with us a longtime Canadian federal minister who is currently Canada's Minister of Jobs and Families and minister responsible for the Federal Economic Development Agency for Northern Ontario, and that is the Honourable Patricia A.Hajdu. I hope you will give her a warm welcome as she makes her way to stage now.
Well, thank you very much, Catherine, and it's great to hear that there's some youth in the audience. Raise your hands if you're a youth. I guess it depends how we define it. Woo! A lot more of you than I would have thought. I see some bearded faces with their hands up. That's okay. You're youthful at heart. That's fine. It's wonderful to be here with you today, and I do have some colleagues in the audience as well. We have MP Seema Akan from Oakville West. We have Chi Nguyen from Spadina Harbourfront. And we have Leslie Church, Parliamentary Secretary for Labour, Seniors and Children and Youth, which is a lot, here today as well. And I'm just so thrilled to be here with some of my colleagues. I think it's fantastic that you're talking about leading in a time of transformation. And I would say transformation is exactly what Canadians feel that we're going through right now. We're talking a lot about what the future of skills look like, what the future of Canada looks like, what the future of work looks like. And many Canadians are seized with optimism, but I can tell you there are many Canadians that are feeling deeply anxious about what all this transition means. And it makes sense to me because I am also a creature of habit, and although I maybe like change a little bit more than other people, I think that change is really hard for everyone. And it's really hard when you're contemplating it in an industry that's been threatened by tariffs or other trade action, in a sector that's rapidly transforming as a result of digitization, automation, AI. Or if you're working in a sector where you've always worked with your hands, you've always worked with your body, and you're being asked to increasingly use tools that you're not used to using. And if you're in a specific age category where that change might feel extremely difficult. And you might think that by me describing this, I understand a little bit of what those emotions are, and that's true because I come from Thunder Bay, Ontario, and our region has seen its share of heartache as industries have had massive change and in some cases collapse over the last 2 decades. And so as I'm here to give you a message of optimism and a message of hopefully enthusiasm for the work ahead of us as a government in partnership with business, with labor leaders, with organizers, with employment and skills training folks, I also want to be very realistic that part of our job is also ensuring that Canadians can feel that there is a place for them in this transformation and that there is a place for them in the world of work, no matter what their personal circumstances. Across Canada, we have ambition to build faster than we have in generations. As you know, we have launched a number of federal agencies to accelerate the way that we build homes, the way that we build major projects, and the way that we transform the Canadian economy to be faster and better at not only trading with each other, surprising that that's still such a challenging thing to do, but also to be able to trade with other nations in a much more efficient way. We've expanded clean energy grids. We're expanding ports to connect communities. We are rebuilding industrial capacity for the next era of global competition. But to do all that, we need people who are skilled trades workers. Now, you might, those of you who put up your hand and said that you were youth, but maybe were a little bit more bearded, you might remember in the 80s and maybe even before that, just around the 80s, where an entry into the skilled trades was seen as somehow lesser than an entry into university. As a matter of fact, in my day and age, it was competitive. One of the questions that you were asked in grade 11 or 12 by your peers, by other people's parents, by your teachers, is what your ambition was. And if people felt that your ambition wasn't high enough, for example, your parents, because you were choosing to think about the trades, you were pushed to reconsider, and to reconsider a role, a pathway that included university. And unfortunately, what that has done, and we've talked about this now for a long time, is it's continued to stigmatize and create a diversion away from highly profitable and highly needed skilled tradespeople across the country. And let me tell you, the skilled trades are evolving. I have a crane operator son, a Red Seal apprentice. He is obviously doing very well financially. But when he describes what it's like to run his crane, I can tell you that it includes the kinds of technical skills that I know I certainly don't have, and something that is really kind of rivals other technological jobs. And so we've done our youth, I think, a giant disservice by discouraging this pathway into the skilled trades, and we've actually hobbled our capacity to build things quickly. I'm working closely with the labor organizations and with the major projects office to make sure that we can actually align the labor across this country, create better pathways for skills mobility, but that will not solve the problem. And so this will take a concerted effort to continue to invest in attracting people to the trades, but even more than that, to keeping people in the trades. I also want to talk a little bit about the Future Skills Center. Now, some of you might know about the Future Skills Center in this audience. I'm looking at Leslie, who's smiling at me because I think she was working in a different capacity when the Future Skills Center was launched. In 2018, the federal government realized that the world of work was changing rapidly, but we also knew that government is often not the best player to figure out what kinds of skills are going to be required. And so we launched the Future Skills Center. It was hundreds of millions of dollars to provide an independent center the ability to invest in skills training, to take some chances, to innovate and to pilot how we can actually create skills trades. And now the center is a critical bridge between government and business. It translates the labor market change that we're seeing in practical training. It's one of the ways that we move from anxiety to adaptability, turning disruption into design. And that's what protection looks like in an economy like ours, giving the people the tools that they need to be ready and not just safe. It also looks like some of the transformation that we've been approaching on EI. Now, I know that employment insurance is probably not everyone's favorite topic in this room, but I can tell you that just getting out of the car and talking to one of the officials at ESDC, using a tool like work sharing to its full capacity is a huge asset for employers that are struggling. As transition happens, as shocks happen, especially in large employers, oftentimes what happens is there's a period of shutdown. I'm probably telling you things you know, and employers lose those valuable employees through the inability to keep them attached to the workforce. And so preparing for the kinds of shocks that we were seeing with the increased trade and tariff activity, We've modernized AI to ensure that, first of all, people can keep their earnings immediately. There's no holdback. That employers can apply for and receive work sharing to lighten the payroll load while giving a bit of breathing room to transition, to train the workers for new opportunities, and also to ensure that those employees stay attached to their workforce. Because as you would all know, when you lose your workforce, and if you try to restart, many times those skilled employees have gone elsewhere, and it is a huge productivity hit to any organization that's trying to restart. We also are really having quite a tangible and I would say intense conversation in this country about AI. Now, artificial intelligence isn't coming. I would say it's here. Another little skill pop testing question. How many of you have used some form of artificial intelligence, maybe ChatGPT, today? Holy man. Well, I won't even go through last week or the month before. I can tell you my husband had a great summer. He's retired. He used ChatGPT to design a sauna and build it for his daughter at her camp. You Southerners call it cottages. And he would like me to tell everyone that it is WET certified. So anyone out there who knows what that means will know that that's a big endeavor. But this is a 66-year-old man who's used a tool that he never had before and was able to design and build a structure without visiting the library once, without visiting a specific designer once, and using AI. And I tell that story because it's kind of an extreme example. But when I talk to young people or professionals all across this country, they are increasingly using AI. And I can also say that it's in hospitals, it's in construction sites, it's in financial systems, it's in classrooms. My doctor recently asked me on a virtual visit, which is absolutely the best, if she could use AI to record our conversation. I asked her a little bit about it. I was interested in knowing what that would do. First of all, it charts for her, but more than that, it actually detects patterns where she is unable to. So it manages to pull out the relevant information about what I'm saying, different symptoms, different parts of the story of our conversation, and give her a better ability to detect symptoms. So it's here. And in order to ensure that we are able to harness this tool and build on the productivity, the Conference Board of Canada estimates that generative AI could add nearly 2% to GDP. We have to ensure that people have the skills to be able to use it. So that means upskilling workers now, not after disruption happens. It means that companies invest in training so that technology adaptation can grow productivity and paychecks. And it means designing systems that make work safer, not more precarious. And I think this is where business, government, and labor can work together. Government is a powerful tool for convening, for investing in systems. Businesses bring the innovation and the job design, and workers show us and evolve the real-world application of those tools. I can tell you that it's also deeply worrying and creating some of the labor instability that we're seeing. Now, I do want to encourage everyone that 97% of federal labor disputes are solved between parties in collective agreements. But there are those 3% that go sideways. We have federal mediation services that work deeply with those organizations and their unions. But recently, and I would say even prior to my new role as Jobs and Families, I've been hearing from union members in particular something a bit new. It's quite typical to have a conversation in labor negotiations about wages and safety and pensions and security. But the change that I'm hearing is the fear around automation, the fear around digitization. And so we've been contemplating how we can actually support some of those conversations. And I think you all have a huge role in this room in helping us understand how we ensure that workers in sectors that are highly prone to disruption have the support that they need to feel confident that there's a future for them in those sectors. Finally, I want to just say that we have, obviously, some flashing signs in our economy that are worrisome. We've got a rising unemployment rate. We've got a youth unemployment rate, the likes of which we haven't seen in a long time. It's not equal, by the way. There's much higher unemployment in the 15 to 20-year-old category. It drops down a bit between 20 and 25. But nonetheless, these flashing red lights are something that we all need to take very serious note of. I would also say, though, that it's uneven and that there are areas where we're really searching for people and for workers. And so the solutions that we arrive at together are going to be deeply informed by all of you. I'm thrilled that Prime Minister Carney has tasked me to move more quickly on something that many of you have advocated for years, something called work sector alliances, such a boring name, but really to ensure that the sectors that are seeking talent are aligned better with the kinds of skills training that's being developed and delivered across the country. And I think that that closer skills match is going to help ensure that people have the confidence and the tools that they need to seize the opportunities, to grow companies, to create jobs, and to help us all through this challenging time. We also have a huge untapped asset of underemployed folks. And I'm looking at Leslie. She's been doing a phenomenal job on the file of people with disabilities, meeting people with disabilities and hearing about their level of education, their ambition, their desire to be fully included, and then meeting with employers who thoughtfully and intentionally choose to hire people with disabilities is a real aha moment for me as a politician and as an individual. That when you put that effort into ensuring that people who haven't been given the chance to fully participate, that comes back to you, both in revenue, but also in the ability to continue to grow and innovate. When we hire and when we include people that have a different life journey, that have a different way of looking at the world, there's all kinds of hidden benefits. So the path forward is clear. We need to, of course, build the homes and the industries and the technologies that define our future. We need to protect workers by investing in skills development on and off job sites. And we need to empower every generation to see themselves in that future, confident, capable, and included. Now, Canada is not a stranger to uncertain times, and many of you are from regions that have experienced very uncertain times. But we've always built through that uncertainty, and I am confident that we can do it now. Because to build faster, to protect ourselves and our communities and each other, and to empower our Canadian young people more fully, we absolutely need to believe in each other. And we need to pull together, now more than ever, with the sole focus of building Canada strong. I've never felt prouder to be a Canadian, to be honest. This summer in the grocery stores, as people were comparing what to buy, as people try to ensure that they're buying Canadian, as people fight for their sectors, for their families, and for the regions. This is a time where I see Canadians pulling together, and I'm just really proud to be part of it. Thank you very much.